Recording in progress. There you go. All right.
Got it.
Sweet. So we don't lose anything. Cool, right. Man.
No, I think that's a really good idea because I've been learning recently about the physicality, especially for the masculine energy, the need for physical exertion to build that fire of doing, right? Of conquering, we could say, which is the genetic push to conquer things, but also just, you know, it builds that fire. We become so sedentary. And
right.
I mean, I've been kind of keeping up on that with like the demasculizing man over the years, taking away the masculine energy, making fun of it, feminizing men. And it's like, there's a part to it, but because there's that mix, we're both, but at the same time, there has been this purposeful taking out of the warriors of the cultures, right?
Right.
You know?
In that sense, oh, it's really interesting for me is that most women that have their warrior active, I find them way more ferocious than a man who has their warrior active. Like a man who actually can fight, I find them rather calm, and a woman that well knows how to fight is not the right way to put it, but that has like her warrior side activated. Like she sees something that is not right. I find 9 out of 10 women way more warrior than men, where they are like, oh yeah, there's something not right, but I know what it means to get in a fight right now, and I don't neither want to hurt someone nor do I want to get hurt, so let's let it slip. Where women are like, how dare you?
Callie activated, Karen activated.
Exactly.
Must correct. No, that's it's the difference between male and female, right? Females run by emotions, males ran by logic. And if you know you can fight, you have nothing to prove. So it's like, oh, okay, here this is. I know I can deal with it, but if it's not affecting me or like possibly hurting me or my family or friends, then you know, whatever, let it be. It's that calm rationale when you're, because when you're powerful, like I have been seeing this before too, of like when you are powerful, or you have a power within you and you recognize it, you don't have to prove it, you don't have to show it. And so you can like let things slide. But if you're insecure or you don't feel that power and you need to prove something to gain some kind of power, that's when you have like, I guess we can say the toxic masculinity and the lashing out and the proving of self in the fights, and because it's like they want to prove themselves. They don't feel adequate, and so they need to create that adequacy by taking advantage of others or whatnot.
Right. Yeah. I that makes sense. Although I'm wondering about the physical reality of actually being able to do something. Just as like a little example, a couple of years ago, I had this run-in with this stalker lady that just was like totally narcissistic, bipolar, totally crazy. And she was trying to make me be physically violent towards her. That was her spiel. Like she was trying to trigger me to get violent towards her. Exactly. And I remember having had lots of conversations with friends and trying to like de-escalate the situation and trying to get out of it, trying to actually help her at the same time. And there was this image of basically a dragon sitting on the back of a lizard, and the lizard just does its own thing. It's like total, you know, lizard brain. And the dragon sits on top and spits fire next to the head of the lizard to be like, yo, you gotta change your ways. Like, I dominate you, I got you, I can burn away your head right now, but I don't want to. And it was so interesting because with her, I had exactly that kind of dynamic where I'm like, I am physically stronger. I can physically end this, but I do not want to use violence as the means of creating a clear boundary. And at the same time, she's not listening. She's not accepting the boundary, the energy of the boundary. So I'm wondering, you know, when you say that, okay, it's like someone that is being run by emotions and they feel, okay, I don't have a chance here, then they won't do anything. But at the same time, if they ignore that, if they are not following following, sorry, I just have to close this here thingy in the background. It's bleeping. So it's like the reality of the power that I actually have and the perception of the power that I actually have in that situation without having to use it. It's like you just gave this example of, you know, like I'm creating a situation for myself, for approving myself in the sense of, oh, I have to fight to show something. But what if it's not me that I have to get it, but the potential victim that has to get it?
Right.
A bit of a weird question, I guess.
Yeah, because it's hard to tell. Because a couple things come to mind of like the deeper aspect of feminine energy that kind of likes, so to say, and I know this is controversial anymore, but like likes being
dominated,
manhandled, right? And so there's like that part of like sexual attraction of like, you know, take me, like, you know, smack me, do something, you know, because I want to feel that masculine energy because of whatever reasons, never experiencing it in their life. And so there's this deep need, and so it becomes extreme. But yeah, like, but that's an example of learning of like, it seems like it could have been a test for you of like, can you control your energy? Can you control the emotion that may want to outburst and handle this situation? And it seems like you handled it well, right?
Well, it didn't kill her.
Right.
It was close, but it's like I remember one time she you know, like, because I gave her all the attention of trying to resolve the situation in the sense of, okay, you are in my life for a reason, so there's something for me to learn. Let's see what I have to learn. Ultimately, the teaching was healthy boundaries, and, you know, setting them without any, like, with zero tolerance, basically. And I remember one time, after hours of talking, she followed me illegally into my property again. Like, I'm opening the door and she stands right next to me after hours of talking to her and making sure that she cannot just enter and stuff. So she like basically broke in, and I turn around, there she stands. And my body got so angry that I literally, my whole body was shaking from anger. And with all my willpower, I stayed calm enough to be like, with all the respect and love, you need to leave right now. Because if you don't leave right now, I'm going to fucking end this right now. And I could feel how my body was ready to kill. It was like, I have had enough. I'm just going to, you know, break her neck and throw her into the lake. I don't care. Like, my body was on that level of readiness, which was kind of like, oh, wow, that is not the resolve that I'm looking for. And obviously in that moment, she got it. She walked away straight away, because I know 10 more seconds and I couldn't have handled it anymore. And I would have actually tried to kill her. It's like, whoa, how crazy to be, you know, guided by the physicality of that situation. Yeah. So yeah, I handled it well. She's still alive.
I mean, because it's I think we also restrict it, because I noticed it for myself over the years and trying to work on myself and like experiencing sometimes that level of energy and always being able to control it, but for different reasons, just because of like fear of like, and so I would just run away and just not say anything. But like, the need to express your boundaries, to be seen. And I think from my own experiences, being troubled of like, what will others think if I like say this thing, like this boundary and lay this boundary, and having to use that energy. Because I know even still today, I speak with strength sometimes, or force, and because of that energy that might be like that frustration, or you know, not as strong as that, but a frustration that wants to be like, you know, fucking stop, like, please stop doing this. And I, you know, the managing of that, because even when I try to say it politely, it still comes off strongly, where it's still offending. Like, I'm not trying to offend, because that's why I'm trying to be nice, but then it still offends because the energy is still behind it. And it's like, it's a tough, and that's where I'm seeing like more of this school of life that, you know, we live is just about that. It's energy management. And, you know, everything we come across, like your woman friend and like her shenanigans, is just tests for you to work on that energy. And all of us, as we come across people that make no sense, trolls on the internet, all these things that we may come across. And it's like, it's all just here to help us manage that energy. It comes up, things want to be expressed. Can we have enough willpower to contain it, change it to a different course, do something more positive with it? And yeah, it's a great lesson. It's
Yes.
and it's very tough, especially like if you have strong emotions as well. See, but I guess getting back to that, because it's like when the man, like your first example of the man that knows that they can fight and end things, and they're completely calm about it because they already know they have the power. It's like they already know they can contain or manage that energy efficiently. And so, and of course, what tends to feel the best is just calm tranquility. And so that's what you choose, because now you can. Not overwhelmed by them. So now you can choose the optimal, which tends to be relaxed, chill, don't let things bother you, whatever. And it's actually because I was just been listening to Dan Winter. You remember Dan Winter?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Physicist who studies bioelectricity, Kundalini phenomenon, and the physics of consciousness, basically.
Right.
And he was talking about it of like conductivity and resistance within the body, right? Where electrical beings, and to be more conductive, basically to have more energy flowing through you, is to be relaxed, right? When you're stressed, when you're tensed, that's resistance. And so your energy is not flowing adequately. So it very much ties into this whole energy management.
Right.
Anyways.
No, I hear you. I feel it's the same for everyone in a way, to learn how to manage all of these things. And some aspects are more emotional, some are more mental or more physical. And at the end, it's just management of all of these aspects to bring them into an equilibrium. And the funny thing with all of that, learning to have healthy boundaries, I realized that there's like these two sides of us, that, like the spiritual side, or the spirit side, and then the physical side. And the the spirit side is just unconditional love and forgiveness. I still have love and compassion even for that girl. Like, I wish her the best. I hope that she finds healing and that she has an amazing life. And at the same time, in the physical, there is a 100% boundary that is being enforced with all of my being. And the way that it kind of came down was this saying, you can be as good as you dare to be bad. And emphasis on dare, in the sense of, my ultimate situation with that lady, where I really made clear that this is it. Like, you're not going to talk to me again. There's no more contact. You're not going to run or ride me. You're not going to talk to my friends. Like, this is it. My decision is 0. And I had to nail that point again and again and again and again until it actually came through to the, level of where she understood that, oh, wow, okay, it's actually over. And though she still would try to get into the field, I had such a clear resolve that whenever even the slightest amount of energy would try to seep in, I would just chop it. I'd be like, I have a very clear approach now, which is done. And with that, it created this, like a lot of space inside of me, because I suddenly, like, that masculine part of me that you are also talking about, in the sense of, what are people going to think, or how can I act? How can I insert myself into life, suddenly became very clear, because this is my boundary. I will not let someone like that, or an energy like that, into my field ever again. Right. And now I have like a grid, like, this is 0, this is ground 0, this is where I'm at. Like, there's no allowing anything influence that. And so any impulse that comes towards it, I can now pinpoint. I have a vector grid, basically, that really helps me to realize, no, up to here, because this is not aligned with what feels right to me. And I don't even have to explain it to someone that behaves like that. It's just no.
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't have to explain your answer of no if you don't want something, right? It's like, I don't want to deal with it. That's my choice. I don't need to.
I just walk away.
I don't need a reason.
Right.
Now I wonder, so do you think she thinks of you as an asshole now? Because this is going into like,
oh, I'm the enemy.
Right.
I've had her talk to so many people about me in the worst way. Like I've had people write me, this man violently abuses women on Facebook randomly, you know, and I'm just like, ha ha ha, yeah, because people believe that shit, you know. It's like this
Right.
tiny little blonde girl from the States that's her spiel, that she knows how to manipulate in that way, and so people are responding to the savior complex, really, you know, like she plays the victim, and then some dude is like, all right, I can be the savior of this chick, so let's
such an asshole, like, yeah,
right.
and that's because
no,
that ties in to the
yeah,
demonization of masculine energy. Like you laid a boundary, which is the masculine, you know, when feminine's more flowy, it goes with the flow, it's all over the place. But the
receptive,
masculine's
right,
more receptive, and the masculine's more action oriented, doing things, boundaries, laying a foundation. And it's become so demonized that when a man does that, like now he's the asshole, he's the enemy, and it's this, because that's why I think like you wanting to start this man group is like is necessary. Like I don't know if you're on social media or anything, or like Twitter mainly, or TikTok. There is this push for the realization of the true masculine energy. There's a lot of people seeking that. I don't know if you know, I've heard of Andrew Tate. He's been pushing for it a lot too, and he's been demonized, and some of his stuff's a little out there. I don't agree with him necessarily, but he does have this big point of this is where I've been getting a lot of it from, like this demonization of masculine energy. Everyone's a beta, and it's tied to the whole idea of course, if men were all in their true masculine energy, the world wouldn't be what it is now, right?
right.
It wouldn't be overrun by all this nonsense. We wouldn't be taken advantage of through taxation and brainwashed through our education. And like people, if we were actually in our power, none of these things would be going on. That's why we had to take out the warriors and not only make men weak, because even like testosterone nowadays, like the hormone of testosterone, us nowadays is like a fraction of what men had 50 years ago.
Right.
Because of food, because of all these different things. And it's like now there is this need, you know, for power, for that masculine fire to come in and make a stand for things, right? To guide, to lead, even we can say. Because I'm reminded to, like when I was in San Marcos, and like the feminine, right? Like, oh, we need more feminine. And then as I've gone on and learned things, and it's like, men are feminine enough. Like I appreciate my ability to have emotions and be receptive and all these things. But through my analysis of my life, I recognized my lack of ability to take action, or the backing away of opportunities, which if I was in my masculine, I would go with the opportunities because I want to be successful. I want to create things, right? And seeing that, you know, I think a lot of males have too much feminine energy and not enough masculine. And it's and especially in like spiritual communities, because right, that's what we teach, which is not to say that it's wrong, but it may just be a little out of balance.
Right.
I don't know. That was a big rant on things, but
oh, great. No, that's exactly that's how we work. I love that. Let's just, you know, rant at each other, and I find that super inspiring, because you're totally right. It's exactly like that. I've experienced that myself. Like I consider myself a rather feminine man in the way that, you know, like I come across like I see myself as balanced, actually. At the same time, I would say that I'm more on the feminine, on the receptive side than on the masculine side. And that is definitely also for me the big theme. That's why healthy boundaries was such a clear lesson. And even now I went to Europe and I met this brother, David, in Vienna, and he took me out for a day of a spa day, you know. So we went to this like amazing spa, and we went into this infrared spa. Yeah, like this room that just has these infrared thingies where you heat up the body, and we were hanging out there, just the two of us in that room, and we were talking, and suddenly like after 20 minutes, the door opens and this old man comes in on crutches, followed by his wife, and they sit down and we just continue talking. And then after 10 minutes, he explodes and is like, this is a silent room, blah, blah, blah. And just, you know, like really in an aggressive tone. And my first response is, okay, I'm in a foreign country. I don't know this man. I don't know the rules here. Like, whatever. He's an old man. Whatever. Like, I just gonna leave. I just gonna move on. But my friend, he was like, all right, I hear you. Calmly, but he had a strong voice at the same time because he was pissed. And he was like, all right, I hear you. You want your quiet time. I respect that. And at the same time, before I shut up, I'll have to tell you something. And then he started just telling him that this is super inappropriate, the way that he addressed us, and that he's extremely lucky that we are such nice guys, because the way that he talked to us can easily be interpreted as an attack. And he should be more realistic about attacking someone that is half the age, in their prime of their life, and could literally just end him right here, right now. And that's the reality of things. And in that moment, it really clicked to me how much I am still in fantasy land, which is a beautiful naivety, because I want things to be in a certain way, and that is my guide. And at the same time, it's all about being in the physical, being in the realistic situation of, wow, this is what is happening right now. And the truth is, I am in the prime of my life. Like, if I'm not going to wait for younger people to change things, and I'm not going to wait for older people to change things either. It's about me to instigate that change. And so here it is. And at the same time, I'm not the one that has to answer for things, because I'll act out of balance. Like, we didn't attack the guy, obviously, you know, it's like he just had to make his point. And at the same time, the reality of things is that who would believe an old grumpy man instead of two friendly, young, big smiley men? You know, it's like, if it comes to that kind of confrontation, it's more likely that we are being believed than him. Like, if it comes down to that, like, just as a worst case scenario. But to be able to step up into this situation saying, yo, you're just another brother that is totally confused, and this is not right. And I just want you to know that in the reality of things, just taking away your crutches would be a difficult situation for you. So be more graceful, be more grateful that there's people around you that are actually nice to you, even though you're basically just, you know, like, heavy. Like, you don't bring anything into the situation that is inspiring whatsoever. Because he could have asked nicely. He could have been like, oh, hey guys, like, I was really hoping that I could have some silent time in here. Can you like finish the conversation, or maybe have a couple of minutes of quiet, because I really feel like I need it. It would have been a totally different deal. It's like, oh yeah, brother, of course, thanks for pointing it out. We were carried away in our conversation, and thanks, you know. But in this way, it is just simply inappropriate. And it was so interesting to have this reflection of how I responded to it, which was like an introvert response of, oh no, like, oh, I'm not, whatever, old man, whatever. And then my friend being like, no, this is it. I draw a line in the sand here. I don't care who you are. You're just a grumpy old man trying to fuck up my day. Like, I'm not taking it. And this like this radical approach of, is this good for me or is this bad for me? And if it's bad for me, I'm gonna chop it. That's really what masculinity for me comes down to. And then the how, obviously, is, again, that shows the balance. Like, if my friend would have gotten up and start beating that old man, I would have also done something like that. Would have been inappropriate, an inappropriate response to the situation. But he didn't.
Right. He had control of that energy, and he used it for the best of purposes, to educate this man and also to lay his boundary.
Right.
Yeah.
And he, just to finish that part of the story, he made a really good example. It's like a tennis match. He played a ball, basically, so trying to hit me, like not just making a point, but trying to hit me, and I'm not playing it back. So what kind of response am I having towards life if I'm not playing back the balls that are being played towards me, even if it's trying to hit me? Like if I'm playing with an asshole tennis player that's just trying to hit me, then yeah, all right, that's the game, you know. It's like you can walk away, obviously, but you can also go into the game and just accept that this is the situation that you're in, and you actually are playing along with life instead of ending it. Just a quick, in 10 minutes, it will stop recording because I didn't buy this thingy here. So if it stops recording, I'll start it right away again. But yeah, we'll have to see if I have to start a new session or what.
I think it'll cancel out, and then we just have to start a new session.
Yeah, probably.
I remember correctly. We have to exit out and then start and then make a new one.
Perfect. We'll do that.
Yeah, no, because that's very interesting. And I also wanted to I had the thought to tie into the energy management thing and how it's fractal, and how in the world now, what do we see? Or at least within the United States and Europe, of this energy crisis, this energy problem. It's like mismanagement of energy is being manifest within the world as well.
Right.
And I think it coincides with like the whole idea of reality as a mirror, and everything we experience is also just manifest outside. And that's a whole nother spiel too. Because it's hard for me, because it's like I understand the metaphysical aspect of that, of everything's mirror, and if you want to, change yourself, change the world. But at the same time, like the mind and logic goes into, but this group is doing this thing, there's evidence of this thing. And so there seems to be like something going on that's outside of my grasp, my reach, that I cannot help to manage. But
yet, because that's for me, that's the answer to it. I had long conversations with my brothers or friends and family in Germany that are literally confronted with that crisis right now of just all the prices exploding, and they had the same urge. And at the same time, what came out was, well, it's not time yet. It's just it's like changing a habit. It's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm still doing it because I don't know what else I'm going to do. So I find myself doing it again. And until the pressure, the inside pressure is so high that I have to change it, until then I can make as many, have as many thought spirals as I want. I still need to be at that one moment where I'm like, okay, I have to change it right now. And because it's a reflection, it's not just us, it's like it's also the outside. It's you, it's me, but everyone else is having the same dynamic happening. They have to make that choice for themselves as well, so that it can reflect in the collective. And therefore it's just not time yet. Like the moment will come where people are so desperate that they will actually start listening, or go crazy and do some crazy shit, and then life's gonna take care of that as well. And then the ones that are being left will listen to life, being like, hey, wait a minute, we cannot give away our sovereign way of interacting with energy. Like that's something that we collectively have to decide, and not have a group of representatives that decide how energy is being used. Like, what the fuck?
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, and I agree, and that's what I've been sharing. It's like it's the mass awakening, the time of revelations, things becoming revealed of how the world really functions, and it's being displayed for all to see. And then from them, as time goes on, because it seems like more and more is there to be seen if you want to pay attention. So more people are starting to pay attention, and like you say, I see the same. There's the side that'll go want to educate themselves. And what I've shared is like, you can get into all the conspiracy theories you want, but everything leads to spirituality. It doesn't matter. You can spend years looking into, this here, this government here, these overlords that are controlling everything. But it comes down to you and your perception and interpretation of everything. And so all roads lead to spirituality. And there's a side that will go crazy, as you say, because cognitive dissonance, the inability to change one's mind.
Right.
And accepting that the reality was a fraud.
All right. Tell me more.
Well, I guess I can just get into that. The two paths that I see, right? There's control or centralization and decentralization, control and sovereignty. That's becoming more obvious and will become more obvious as time goes on. As we can see from the technology where it's going, right? This whole push to get, like in the United States, and I think even a little bit in Europe, but more in the United States for electric vehicles, right? And fuel's bad, or old fossil fuels are bad. Even though just yesterday, California, they banned, or they're going to ban by 2035 fossil fuel vehicles, but then just yesterday they're asking the people to have, like, oh, you need to ration your energy, don't charge your vehicles. And it's like, how is this going to pan out here?
Right.
But of course, what happens when you have a completely digital hooked up to the internet vehicle? They have control. If they want to shut you off, they can shut you off. And this ties into why cryptocurrencies or blockchain technology is such an integral part. It is part of both sides. You have CBDCs, which will allow the over-centralization of not just monetary system and social credit scores. We don't like what you said, we're going to decline your loan or pay you less, or raise your interest or block your access, all these different things that will have more control over. But because blockchain will be backing up, it'll replace the internet or make the internet more efficient. But with a centralized version, right, they can block and restrict and have more control over the flow of information, which is what they want, which is why there's so much censorship. And power grid, like anything digital, anything electronic, anything ran by internet or computer can have more centralized power. But then there's the flip side of that, which is the decentralization, the freedom aspect. The nodes and servers of the internet will be hosted by the individuals. The individuals will receive a bit of income to help host those servers and nodes. Like, it's a complex thing, and I don't want to get too much into like the technicalities, but basically one that's governed by governance, and then there's one that's governed by the people and community. And cryptocurrencies is the two paths. We can go backwards in time, right? We can go back to metals and back to, which I don't see evolution going backwards. That doesn't make sense. So that's why I see it as two paths. You make your choice. We're being led to make our choices, and that's also with like current circumstances and believing certain medical scientists or believing scientists as a whole. Everything that's influenced by profit mentality and get the control of the consciousness of the people, or being free-minded, open-minded, learning to learn for yourself, developing a community, not being reliant on centralization for food, even like we're starting to see because of the United States, some over 20 different food processing plants have mysteriously burnt down. All these things going on, and that's like the main thing I'm getting to. It's like there's two paths. Which are you following? Trust and centralized autonomy, centralized authority to fix the problem for you, or reliance on your brothers and sisters and developing a community to fix the problems that are presented to us.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And the cognitive dissonance, to come back to the cognitive dissonance. So how do you see these two paths in relation to cognitive dissonance?
Well, because you were saying about like freeing your mind or going crazy. And going crazy would be the cognitive dissonance, not being able to understand that the entire social structure that we have been led to believe is beneficial for us has actually been our slavery. And if you have that cognitive dissonance and you can't see outside of that, then you're going one with that centralized authority, be governed, controlled social credit system and all these things, or you'll go crazy because the vast amount of what's been going on behind the scenes, economically, politically, the occult stuff that we could say, like all these different theories that if they become true or seem to be true, Epstein stuff, pedo stuff, all these different things. And if your mind can't handle that, the cognitive dissonance will
kick in.
You'll either go crazy because you can't accept it. You can't accept reality. So, like, that's a big part of it too. I don't know if you've heard of Cliff High. I think I told you about him There's messages. He has a lot of interesting things to say. He's a programmer. He's been a programmer for years. He developed this linguistic predictive programming. So basically he scouts the internet. He has these bots that scout the internet and look at all the language that's being put out on the internet. He's been able to predict some things, some future events based off of emotion. He ties emotional values to everything that's being said. He can predict when things start happening.
Right.
We're getting at here. Oh, so in this, he's found that there will be some temporal markers where there will be a majority of people that won't be able to handle the amount of information, be it, and this can, that the jab was not beneficial and has its own side effects, and people not being able to accept that, or a political system, what's really going on, in the medical system, like all these different things. And it's like, he's predicted, and I think this is where I originally got it from, that there will be a large number of people that will succumb to this, choose to go to somewhat insanity and believing this, sticking to the old fairy tale, as instead of accepting reality for what it is, taking this new information and actually deciphering it for yourself. Okay, well, how does it apply to me? So everything I thought was wrong, oh my gosh, then what's real, what's true? And that's why I'm not going on around. This is like, I have this whole future idea of where things will go to, and it has to do with like spirituality, psychology. These teachings will become more important as time goes on and more things become revealed, because more people will come to, wait, everything I thought was wrong, or and so what is real? And you have people that have been along this path for however many years and can offer that guidance. And so that'll be a big part, a big work that'll go on, I think, in the future. So as like people like ourselves and people in the community there have dove into conspiracies and deciphering what reality is, spirituality, what is spirit, what is mind, who listens to the thoughts of the mind, all these different things. And as people, like, it's the Great Awakening, right? So people being exposed to all this information and choosing insanity or choosing to accept reality and pursue reality deeper. And it'll be a big part. And I can go into crypto and how crypto actually ties into this as well, if you would like me to.
Sure, go for it.
So I've also seen that, like, so crypto allows, or blockchain technology allows for the ability to monetize basically everything. So there's some cryptos that allow you to rent out your CPU, your broadband within your computer, so you can actually make money off of something that you own that you're not using at this time. So at night, you're not using the computer, you can set it up and earn an income. There are like Twitter has implemented a Bitcoin tipping service, so you can actually pay your content creators with Bitcoin, like if you like their content. YouTube also has recently implemented X Academy, which allows for, again, the greater monetization of content creators. Like, you're producing content, you can now make money. And so I see crypto as also the sovereign crypto, not the CBDC, it's the sovereign ones, offering the ability for us to turn our passions and interests into our career, right? By sharing the information we like, right? Our interests, our passions, either through video, through writing, however it is, right? That it becomes our source of income, so that we can actually, we're sharing our information, we share our findings. If we like to paint, we share our paintings. There's NFTs, non-fungible tokens, for art, so that you can actually not only be able to easily sell your art, but also make royalties, just like music, royalties off of other people. When they buy your art, they sell it to somebody else, you still get a percentage. There's all these different things that are going in, but I see it all allows for the monetization of our lives. Our lives, our passions, our interests become our career, and AI and things will do the minuscule tasks, blah, blah, blah. The future unfolds and life becomes life again. Like, it's what you pursue, it's what you want. You follow your heart, and you actually can now, there will be a whole different economic system that allows for that to be, right? The old one was corrupt and has its issues, and it was actually holding humanity back. New one will allow humanity to blossom, because we all have our passions, we all geniuses in our own fields, but how do you tap into that within our current model of society? Right? It's very difficult. And so I see this as offering the easy ability to tap into more people's genius. Maybe not everybody's, but more people's genius.
Right. Yeah. I'm just wondering, it sounds like but it always needs technology in order to have the next steps. I mean, then, okay, the question is, what is technology? What are these tools that we are using either to enslave or to help us each other? And I'm just wondering, is there a world beyond the technology? Will we always be needing, find minerals in order to create things that enable us to interact like the way that we interact right now? Or is there a world where the face-to-face interaction becomes so important again that it's nice to send each other messages, but it really is not about that anymore?
Right. No, I think you're right, because I see technology as just a clumsy manifestation of what consciousness is capable of, right?
Right.
We don't need to have this technology to create this video talk, like telepathy, everything's connected, quantum physics. Like, there should be a way for us consciousness to be able to connect, but we are not there yet. So we rely on this crutch of technology for now. So no, I do see, that, yeah, there's a possibility at some point we don't need these tools, but then the question becomes, are these, and this is not only a question, it's been proven to some degree that technology is actually weakening our mental facilities, right? Our memory has gone down because we rely on technology to remember things for us.
Right.
20 years ago, people knew, you can know like 20 different people's phone numbers and you had it all memorized. Now I don't even know one person's, even if I know my own phone number. So right. There's the question of like, is it really aiding us or is it actually holding us back still, right? I think it'll change. Like, again, it's about intention, right? Our social construct for decades has been based off a specific intention. And that intention, I don't think, for the majority of it, has been for the benefit of humanity as a whole, right? We have planned obsolescence, which is, you know what that is?
Yeah, the biggest crime ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And it's for the sake of profit. We'll make garbage technology that fails for a certain point in time just so people can buy new ones. And everything's based off of profit. And as humanity goes through this shift, and as we see that this is what everything's a business, from medicine to technology to innovation, everything's just a business anymore. And we see it like, oh wait, there's better ways to do it. We don't, we can, and so technology will change as humanity changes and starts to realize the benefit of innovation, bring back Tesla stuff, original ideas, and stop silencing people that are trying to truly innovate and, create a much better world.
Right.
So I think technology will evolve as humanity evolves as well.
Yeah, I see that as well. It's like I for example, I believe that just the internet alone, if it would actually go back to the promises that have been made when it was introduced, if it would just fulfill that, it would already be a totally different game. Like the idea of, having a library that everyone can be participant of is amazing. Like this whole idea of having a platform that is easily accessible and easy to put content, easy to get content from, easy to find new content on, according to the things that you enjoy or that inspire you, is a great idea. It's just that it's always run as a business in a way that is just, counterproductive.
Right. And now it's, nowadays it's become really confusing because now we have AI bots that run a lot of things. So a majority of commenters, like on videos or things, or like posts, if you're like, a lot of them are bots, and we even have AI bots that are actually writing stories, news stories, and books, and it's like, where's this all coming from? So now that ocean of information that was a beautiful thing to be able to learn, the library, that easily accessible library, has become contaminated as well. misinformation. You have these people that are the judges of what's truth and what's reality, and
Right.
that becomes a difficult thing when it comes to like everyone can contribute, but who's authentic, who's real, who's just messing with things and trying to muddy the water, like, you know.
Right.
But again, blockchain, I think we'll have, you know, the monetary system that has been, like you said, if everything is a business, the money is the one that pollutes a lot of things. So when you have a hard money and you can't print it out of thin air, then it becomes much less beneficial harder to spend money on things to contaminate things, right? Because there's only so much of it. You can't print it. When you can print into infinity, then yeah, you can give that money, buy this thing, silence these people, create these false stories, and you can just throw it all around, create wars,
Print more.
do all these things.
Right.
Print more, right? We have tons of it. We have infinite supply. Inflation comes into hand, but you know, that's something that the future decades can worry about. But when you have a solid, you know, a hard currency, there's only so much of it, then you have to be much more selective in how you're spending it. And that's why I think that's a big part. The change of the economic system will be a big influence into the change of information as well, because money is just energy flow, right? A unit of measurement for energetic exchange, and I think we forget that.
Right. The thing is, it's just not connected to value of things. And I feel that it is less about money, because everyone, like, if you want to access money, you can access money. Like, I don't see, you know, the missing of money. It's more the value of things. The simplest example here is here in Guatemala, you know, where the people grow the corn on the sides of the volcano and they carry it down and then they sell 50 pounds for $10. And that's how they make their living. And it's ridiculous, because they are literally the people that feed us, and they should be able to enjoy what they are doing in I don't know, in a way that seems more fair. It basically comes down to that, like where what is it called, like a lawyer that, you know, just takes your signature, that witnesses your signature on the piece of paper, takes like $150 instead of someone that is literally working all the time and gets $10 for a little bit of produce. I feel that's where the actually the cognitive dissonance really starts, where the reality of things, which is we have to eat, being less important than you have verified my signature on a piece of paper. Me making paper dirty, you have witnessed that, and therefore you are worth, you know, whatever X amount. And so I feel this whole flip is like, it's in the society so deeply ingrained that, again, that's where the cognitive dissonance comes from, that the things that are actually important are not treated as something important, and the things that are not important are treated as if they were important. And we treat it like that, and so that creates our reality, and it can only create insanity, because it is insane to not cherish the ones that actually feed you.
Right. Not only cherish, but reward, and like you said, for 50 pounds and however many months it takes to grow, and how much time and energy they put into growing that thing. Especially in Guatemala, they don't have as much fancy equipment as they do in like Europe and United States. But you know, this reminds me of the I don't know, I guess the food crisis that's going on as well. So it's like a reminder to the people of like, hey, food's important. You don't have much of it. Well, what are you going to do now to help remind the people of like, wait, you need food. Like we took it for granted, the easy access of our fake food.
Convenience, yes. Reality. Convenience is the death of innovation. It's like I had this talk with my brother the other day, and we were talking a lot about what word mean, or like like coming down to linguistics in order to actually be able to understand each other, and their innovation literally was being realistic. Like if you want to innovate something, then you have to accept the problem or the situation that you're in. You cannot innovate a theoretical problem with another theory. Like it doesn't do anything else than it's just mental masturbation, basically, because it doesn't have an actual effect on the situation that you're in. And an actual innovation is something that is like, oh, wow, look at that. Like that makes everything easier. Oh, thank you so much. That is true innovation. And it's always based in reality. So innovation is reality. It's like being able
reality
to be real.
Right. And now I'm thinking of it is also the experience of hardship.
Right.
Because if you don't experience hardship, there's no desire to make it easier for yourself.
Right.
The innovation.
Because that's the thing, is like you were talking about the Great Awakening. And for me, my understanding, in order to actually come together and start working together, to literally to draw a line for humanity and have okay, that was, we did behave like that before, and now we behave new. For that to happen, we need maximum polarization. And maximum polarization is something that I'm still contemplating what that actually means, because it's as diverted or as diverse as possible. And I see that now, where like even victimization is a right. It's like it becomes like a fundamental right. And it's like, why would we want to do that other than to create the maximum tension within the field of humanity, to force everyone on an individual level to make a choice? And I see that dynamic, that like wedge that is being put in there, and it will separate the energies. It's like there's no way of avoiding that. Like I see everything getting just stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where we make a choice, and the moment we made a choice, it will become lighter again, because now you're on that side of the flow. It's like the river coming and it's splitting, and it's like, I don't want to make the choice, and you're paddling against the current until you're like, all right, I made my choice. I'm that path. Right. And it's not the end of it. It's just one choice made. I mean, we're literally swimming in a sea of infinite choices. So this is not going to stop anytime soon to have to make a choice, which is, by the way, again, very masculine, to make a choice, to be like this one. Right. And so we're like we're floating in all these options, and like, do I want to be on TikTok, or do I want to be on this, or do I want to do that? And like all these potential options that we are being drowned in, instead of being like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to, like, this is the next step, done. Next one, done. And so, yeah, it's fascinating for me to see that being reflected on the inside and on the outside. On the outside, meaning like mankind, or at least our culture, which I can actually follow, to see how all of these things get more and more, dual, polarized. Which makes it even more and more clear, where is the center? Where am I? Okay. Guess what? I have to integrate both sides. Like, I am good and I am evil. I can be as good as I dare to be bad. Exactly. And then suddenly it becomes clear, okay, this is my middle path. There you go.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And yet it reminds me of Dolores Cannon and the splitting of the worlds and the two choices, and depending on the choice. Because for myself and my own experiences, like making, and I'm sure you may share the same, but like choosing to live a more simpler life to some degree. And for me, it's like everything's just gotten so much easier to some degree. And there's still difficulties and things, but being the observer of what's going on in the world, and not the participant as well, to some degree.
But that's the receptive approach, and I've always been on that side of like, I'm just observing. Let's, like me observing it already has an effect, obviously, and at the same time, I feel I can maximize that effect by being willing to act and being ready to act, like not just pretending to be willing to act, but actually being ready to act. I feel that is what maximizes the power of observation.
What do you mean by act, though? Like in this,
it's like, okay, for example, when I went to the States last year, and I went to visit some friends in Oakland, and I'm driving the bicycle, and there's this older black homeless dude walking in the center of the road, and I'm like, oh wow, okay, that's kind of a weird place to walk on. And like 20 meters later, there, or behind him, there is this younger black dude that walks on the street, and they obviously have some kind of issue with each other. And the younger guy has a baseball bat in his hand. Then he's pissed. And I'm stopping the bike and I'm like, oh, wow, is he gonna like hit that old man with a baseball bat? Like, that's fucking crazy. So I'm stopping to observe how this situation is unfolding. And the young guy with the baseball bat goes to the older guy, and they are having a conversation, or like screaming at each other, basically. And I'm putting away the bike because my feeling is not on my watch. On my watch, no one is gonna hit another guy with a baseball bat. As simple as that. I'm not gonna stand here watching someone getting hit with a baseball bat in the face. As simple as that. So I'm ready to sprint into the situation, knowing full well this is none of my business. I potentially get really into like a harmful situation if I, tackle down the young guy and take away his baseball bat. Like, damn, I'm in the States. He might shoot me. So I don't know. I'm in a foreign country, and at the same time, I'm ready to sprint the 10 meters to disarm that younger guy. But then he just pretends to hit him. He sees that like the older guy realizes that the younger guy is not actually going to hit him. And he goes into starts to, like a parrot, just saying these absurdities towards the younger guy, like again and again and again and again. And the younger guy is just like, okay, yeah, whatever. And just turns around and walks away. And there I am standing being like, oh, wow, I potentially was going into a life-threatening fight situation. And I feel all the adrenaline of my body physically being ready to sprint into the situation. But then I didn't have to. And obviously there's no measurement to say, this is the kind of effect I had upon the situation. Who knows how it would have went if I wouldn't have been there. And at the same time, my observation was it de-escalated. But
your observation and readiness to act.
Exactly. But the readiness to act in the sense of I was actually ready to do it, not just pretending, telling myself the story like, oh yeah, but well, if he hits him with the baseball bat, then I will say something or something. No, I'm ready to sprint and actually go into this situation. And I believe that readiness is what disarmed the situation. So the observer in a way can be tricky because it can be very passive. Yeah, exactly. To be an active observer.
Right.
I believe that's
that makes sense because you're putting energy into the situation with your own intention to stop it, and perhaps that intention stopped it. But now my question comes up, like in my TikTok, pointing out some of these things and sharing some of what's going on behind the scenes. And some people comment, and I usually comment, responding to, anyways, just get to the point. Don't put your focus on this because where attention goes, energy flows. People tell me that. And it's like, yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, people need to become aware of things for it to be changed, right? They have the desire to change. So where's the line into like that idea of like being the observer creates reality. What you're focusing on becomes a stronger reality in like the grander scheme of what's going on in the world.
Right.
Like, where's the line of that, of giving attention? Because like I always give, like, it's emotion based. I don't give anger, I don't give hatred into what's going on. I'm just sharing, like, hey, this is what's going on. What are you going to do about it? This is what, just sharing information, not attaching any emotion to it.
Right.
And that's usually how I explain it. It's like, yes, where attention goes, energy flows, what you focus on grows, but it's also the energy, right? It's thinking and feeling. You feel something about it, or can you relax and just kind of observe it without prejudice, without judgment, like, oh, this is going on in here. You guys should probably know that this is going on and to prepare for yourself. But so do you see, like, because I know that's the big thing in like San Marcos, I remember having to deal with that before. Do you see like the ignoring of things as beneficial, or like, because that can be seen as an action? Where attention goes, energy flows. If I don't pay attention, that is my action of influencing reality to come to a different reality.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, and I have a very clear answer, and that it ties in with the masculinity topic that we started with, and that is, I use like the observant in me was so strong that I perceived life as something happening to me. I'm just sitting there and I'm watching a movie, basically an interactive movie. There are certain moments where I have to press a certain button and then, you know, it moves in that direction or that direction. And video now, exactly, a video. It is a game. I've always seen it as a game. So it's just like concretizing in that language. But the lesson of this year or the last couple of years has been so clear towards not life is happening to me, I am happening to life. All this wisdom, all the things that have come through, I need to express in a healthy manner. And that is what it's actually all about. So it's like, I've been preparing myself to be able to feel things, to dissolve into a situation and really feel it so strongly that I allow it to change my being. Wow, this happened. Okay, that changes everything. I did that so many times. Death and rebirth. Wow, I'm a different person now. I can see how I'm different now. And yet it comes down to, and now what? What I'm going to do with this? Because I find myself in the repetition of things being the way that I kind of expect them to be, or that it's like it was back then. But can I insert a new energy into that? So if you see it as an energetic circuit, can I insert a new impulse into a closed energetic system, which is me perceiving my own life? So can I bring in a new impulse into that? And I believe that it often comes in the reflecting manner of life, like asking me to do it to the outside world. Like just here, I have this neighbor who is kind of like a pervert who likes to watch couples from afar. And he never does anything, but he's like, you know, like a voyeur, or how do you call it in English? I'm not sure. And I confronted him, you know, it's like there was a certain moment where he did that to the girls that are staying here. So there was a certain point where I went to him and was like, okay, listen, bro, this is it. Like, you are not allowed to be anywhere near our land. If I catch you doing that, I will take action. I'm not accepting that behavior. And he's pissed since then. Like, he would not say hello or anything. And just this morning, he addressed me for the first time because I'm walking past where he's working at, in that part of that property where he's a gardener. I'm walking through that space on the public path with the dogs, and he wants to insert power. So he's like, he doesn't like the dogs. If he sees the dogs, he's gonna chop him with a machete, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't see a constructive way of being able to move the situation forward. So I take myself out. And then during the morning, I had the realization that all I need to do is put the leads on the dogs on this part of the walk, so that then he has no reason to say anything. It's a public path. I can walk there. I can walk there with dogs. I can walk there with cows. I don't care. Like, it's not for him to make a decision there, but he can insert power over me in that dynamic, as long as I don't make sure that I'm impeccable. So I just see him as a reflection of me figuring it out in a way where I do confront him. I know that tomorrow morning when I walk there and he's like, you cannot walk here. It's like, no, I can. And I will walk here. But in order to show you that I also respect you setting up a limitation, in order to show you that I accept that limitation or respect that limitation, I have him on the lead. I understand where you're coming from. I do not want the conflict, but I'm willing to go into conflict if you are pushing something that is not aligned with reality, which is, this is a public path, man. Like, this is not your path. And so it kind of all comes together into like this is the action that I actually have to take, but first I thought it's this, or I thought it's that, but it comes down to this is the path to take. And it's like, you know, it slowly becomes clear.
The trial and error.
Not even try and error. I see it all as guidance. It's just I'm so much in my head. I carry so much knowledge and understanding about situations that it can get confusing, because I see all these options of behavior, but then which one to pick, which one to choose. There's basically an infinity available, and then it's like, okay, no, there is the one path that actually makes sense for all of us, and the service that I'm doing is to in my masculinity to choose that path again and again and again and again actively. The one that does not create harm, the one that does not create suffering, the one that does not like inflate myself by being, but I can do whatever I want, go out of my way. If you want conflict, you can have conflict. I have the bigger gun. It's like, it's not about that. Like, he has a right to feel safe on the public path as much as I have a right to walk there with my dogs. So let's find the actual way that works for both of us. And I feel that's, in a bigger scheme, is what is happening right now to all of us, where we are coming to the realization that we are mankind. We are all part of the same organism, and we have to figure it out. And everyone has their own role to play in it. And like you said before, you know, everyone's a genius in their own field. And if everyone is actually applying that genius in the field that they want to apply it in, then we're a fucking race of geniuses. And then nothing can stop us. Like, there is so much potential. Right. It's mind-blowing, actually, and inspiring, and the only way left. So it's fucking amazing. This is great.
When left with an ultimatum, like, okay, death and self-destruction, or, you know,
or heaven on earth,
spatial enlightenment. Heaven on earth.
Oh my,
such a tough choice.
Such a tough choice. But it is a tough choice when you're in cognitive dissonance, when you do not see the choice. And I believe that actually is what it comes down to, as the work of us, the ones that have realized that have went through so much shadow work, to be like, there is a choice, to just show that, because ultimately it's the choice of each individual. So, you know. All right, we have our actually 40 minutes. They reduced it down to 40 minutes.
For the second one.
Yeah. So I'll stop that. And as soon as I stop it, let's call it a day with recording. But I would like to chat a little bit more with you. I have a couple of things that I want to talk with you about. So okay, I'll stop this, and